Welcome to the Deep Dive, your shortcut to being well-informed. We pack in the facts, maybe a little humor, and hope to keep you hooked.
Absolutely.
Today, we are taking a plunge, a real deep dive, into a book that's genuinely impacted millions. Eckhart Tolle's The Power of Now, a guide to spiritual enlightenment.
It's a big one.
Huge. Published back in the late 90s, got that massive boost from Oprah, right?
Yeah, the Oprah effect was undeniable.
Translated into, what, 33 languages? Millions of copies sold just in North America.
Incredible reach.
So our mission today is really to pull out the core insights from Tolle's work, cut through the noise, give you a clear picture of what living in the present moment actually means, according to him.
And it's quite a fascinating philosophy he lays out. It draws from, well, a mix of spiritual traditions.
Like what?
Well, one reviewer put it quite well, I thought. They called it Buddhism mixed with mysticism and a few references to Jesus Christ.
Okay.
A sort of New Age reworking of Zen.
A reworking of Zen.
Interesting. Yeah. But the core message, it's powerful but also surprisingly straightforward. Tolle basically says that most of our emotional problems are suffering. It comes from identifying too much with our mind.
Getting lost in our thoughts.
Exactly. Lost in thoughts. So the way to peace, he argues, isn't about fixing everything outside us. It's about cultivating this conscious awareness of right now.
Pulling back from worrying about the past or stressing about the future.
Precisely. Recognizing that this moment, the present one, is the only thing that's truly real. It's the only thing that actually matters.
Okay, right. Let's unpack that because that's the bedrock, isn't it? His claim, you are not your mind.
That's the starting point.
And that feels, well, kind of radical for most people. You know? We tend to think our thoughts are who we are.
We really do. It's almost automatic.
Tolle makes this really sharp distinction. He says there's the stream of thoughts, that voice in the head he talks about. And then there's your actual self, which he calls the watcher. This like presence that just notices the thoughts.
It's about awareness, not necessarily stopping the thoughts.
Right. Not about shutting the mind up completely, which sounds impossible anyway. It's more about rising above the chatter, using the mind as a tool when you need it, instead of letting it run the show.
Yeah, not being controlled by it.
He's got this quote that really nails it for me. The mind is a superb instrument if used rightly. Used wrongly, however, it becomes very destructive. Then he clarifies, it is not so much that you use your mind wrongly. You usually don't use it at all. It uses you.
Wow.
This is the disease. You believe that you are your mind. This is the delusion. The instrument has taken you over. Pretty strong words.
Very strong. And the implications of that, of identifying so deeply with the mind, are huge, according to Tolle.
How so?
Well, he states very clearly that this belief that I am my thoughts is basically the root cause of almost all human suffering.
That's a bold claim.
It is. He says, pain is inevitable as long as you are identified with your mind. Just think about that.
So the identification itself creates the pain.
That's his argument. He describes it almost like having a tormentor in your head that continuously attacks and punishes them and drains them of vital energy.
Goodness.
This unchecked, unobserved thinking process, he says, leads to untold misery and unhappiness, as well as of disease. So a lot of our distress isn't just external stuff happening to us.
It's internal.
It's our relationship with our own minds, like an internal saboteur we don't even realize is there.
Okay, that image, a tormentor in your head, is pretty vivid. So if identifying with the mind is the core problem, what about all that old baggage? You know, the emotional stuff that lingers, pops up out of nowhere.
Ah, yes. Tolle has a specific concept for that. He says it doesn't just vanish, it actually accumulates.
Into what?
Into something he calls the pain body. It's one of his most unique ideas, I think.
The pain body. Okay.
He describes it as this collection of past emotional pain, a residue of pain that lives on in you.
Like old hurts sticking around.
Exactly. And he says this old pain merges with any new pain you feel, and it gets lodged in your mind and body. He calls it a negative energy field.
A negative energy field.
Yeah, or trapped life energy. He explains it as energy that's kind of split off from your whole energy field because of that mind identification process. It becomes almost autonomous.
Oh, like a little entity of old pain living inside you.
That's kind of the idea, yeah. It takes on a life of its own, almost demanding to be felt, to be experienced again.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
And how does this pain body show up? Like in everyday life?
Well, it can manifest in lots of ways, often sneaking up on us. You might feel it as, say, resentment, impatience, a dark mood, a desire to harm, as rage or as depression, things that seem to come out of nowhere sometimes.
I think we can all recognize some of those feelings.
Absolutely. And the crucial point Tolle makes is that the pain body lives on the fact that we identify with it.
So when we get caught up in those feelings, believe the stories they tell us.
We're feeding it. We're giving it energy.
So how do you stop feeding it? How do you deal with it?
The solution, according to Tolle, is deceptively simple, though maybe not easy in practice. It's about observation.
Just watching it.
Just watching it. Becoming the watcher of the pain body, noticing its presence without judging it, without getting swept away by it, without identifying with it.
So you feel the anger or the sadness,
Yeah.
but you see it as the pain body, not as me.
Exactly. He says if we just observe it, it can no longer control our thinking. He has this lovely line. Pain can only feed on pain. Pain cannot feed on joy. It finds it quite indigestible.
So presence, awareness, joy, they starve the pain body, like it's kryptonite.
That's the idea. Conscious presence is the antidote.
Okay, so if being stuck in the mind and run by the pain body is the problem, this leads us to the solution, right? The practical stuff. How do we actually do this? How do we anchor ourselves in the now?
Yes, this is the core practice. Tolle comes back to it again and again. Only the present moment is real, and only the present moment matters.
He really hammers that point home.
He does. And he directly challenges our tendency to live in the future. He says things like, worrying about tomorrow's bills isn't the actual problem right now, in this moment.
The problem is the worrying itself happening now.
Precisely. And he talks about waiting, too. He sees waiting not just as a situation, but as a state of mind.
How so?
Well, when we're waiting for something for the traffic light to change, for the weekend, for things to get better, we often turn the present moment into just an obstacle, something to get through.
Yeah, I definitely do that. Stuck in traffic, just wanting to be there already, my mind races ahead.
Right. And Tolle would say the suffering isn't the traffic jam itself. It's your internal resistance to the reality that you are in a traffic jam right now.
So bring presence even to the annoying moments.
That's the challenge. For any situation you find intolerable, he gives 3 choices. Only 3.
Okay, what are they?
You can remove yourself from the situation, change it, or accept it totally.
Remove, change, or accept. No fourth option like complain endlessly.
Exactly. He argues that choosing one of those and committing fully stops what he calls psychic pollution.
Psychic pollution, I like that term.
Yeah, it's that inner churn of negativity, resistance, resentment, all the stuff that adds more suffering on top of whatever the situation is.
So choose one path and stop polluting your own mind.
That's the idea. And beyond those big choices, he offers simpler things too, like consciously slow down sometimes, stop multitasking, just do one thing.
Easier said than done these days.
Tell me about it. Spend time in nature, he suggests. Feel its stillness. Actively practice letting go of future worries when they pop up. And a big one is body awareness.
Body awareness.
Yeah, really feeling your body from the inside, paying attention to the sense of aliveness, the energy within it. It anchors you in the present.
Okay.
And forgiveness, he defines that as relinquishing your grievances, letting go of old stories, which, he says, takes power away from the mind because the mind is the one that cannot forgive.
Interesting. The mind holds on to grievances.
It loves them. It all comes back to the present step. He says, your outer journey may contain 1,000,000 steps. Your inner journey only has one, the step you are taking right now.
Just this one step. That psychic pollution idea, that really sticks with me. So much internal noise sometimes.
It's very relatable.
And totally goes into other areas too, right? Later in the
Yeah.
book, like the inner body.
Yes, the inner body. He describes it as this field of energy, of aliveness, pulsating just beneath the surface of our thoughts and emotions, something you can tune into when you get quiet.
Like a deeper current.
Kind of, yeah. And he talks about enlightened relationships, too, how real connection happens when people are truly present with each other, not projecting their past pain bodies or future desires onto the other person.
That sounds challenging.
Definitely. Now, here's a detail that always sparks conversation. Tolle actually suggests that women are said to be closer to awakening than men.
Oh, really? Why?
Because, he argues, they tend to be less trapped in their minds. He suggests men's biggest hurdle is often the thinking mind itself. Whereas for women, it's more often the pain body, though obviously he adds that it varies individually.
That's quite specific. It makes you wonder, how did a book with these kinds of, well, quite specific spiritual ideas become such a massive global thing?
It's a great question. Its journey is pretty amazing. It started with a small press in Vancouver in '97.
Right.
Then New World Library republished it in 1999, and boom, New York Times bestseller list, and it stayed there for years. Nobody really expected that for this kind of book.
And the cultural ripple effect, the people who picked it up,
Yeah.
it's wild. We mentioned Oprah, obviously. Meg Ryan recommended it, too.
Mm-hmm.
But then you hear about Paris Hilton taking a copy to jail.
Right. That one always surprises people.
Singer Annie Lennox called it a desert island book. Gwyneth Paltrow said she was an early adopter. Listen to the audiobook.
The list goes on. Gillian Anderson mentioned it alongside the Bible on a radio show.
Jeff Goldblum's a fan. Katy Perry said her song This Moment was directly inspired by hearing the audiobook.
Wow, I didn't know that specific connection.
Yeah. And it even shows up visually, like a copy is on a nightstand in the movie Venom.
No way.
Seriously. And Kendrick Lamar heavily references its themes in his 2022 album Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers.
That's fascinating. It really permeated culture in unexpected ways.
It really did. But it's fair to say not everyone was completely convinced, right? There were criticisms too.
Oh, absolutely. It's important to have that balance. While millions loved it, some reviewers were less enthusiastic.
What did they say?
Well, you saw comments like, not very well written, but contains some good teachings. Fair enough.
Okay.
Others were harsher, calling it awash in spiritual mumbo-jumbo. Some felt it was unhelpful for those looking for practical advice in a more conventional, step-by-step way.
Right. It's not exactly a typical self-help manual.
Not at all.
Right.
And as we touched on earlier, some critics pointed out that the ideas themselves weren't entirely new, describing it as that New Age reworking of Zen.
So a synthesis, maybe, rather than something totally original.
Perhaps. These criticisms just show that, Tolle's message landed differently for different people. It deeply resonated with many, searching for spiritual answers or anxiety relief, but it wasn't necessarily everyone's cup of tea.
That makes sense. So bringing it all together, what does this mean for you listening right now?
Yeah.
As you go about your day, maybe dealing with that voice in the head or feeling that tug of the pain body.
Well, I think Tolle's core invitation, distilled down, is incredibly powerful, even if challenging. It's this: accept, then act.
Accept, then act.
Whatever the present moment contains, accept it as if you had chosen it. Always work with it, not against it. Make it your friend and ally, not your enemy. He claims this will miraculously transform your whole life.
That's a big promise, as if you had chosen it.
It's a radical perspective shift. So maybe the final thought to mull over is just that. Can you try approaching this moment, whatever it holds, with that sense of acceptance? Can you consciously drop the internal fight just for a bit and see what happens? See what changes when you make the now your friend, not your enemy.